Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I have returned to hopefully record something here. I've been having all sorts of problems with disk space and the videos chopping up and not fully recording. But I'm at a critical point with my starter package, and I want to capture this as before it goes away because I only have one shot to record this stuff because the servers are not going to stop just for me. So as we wait to get into the game, the critical point I'm at right now is when to pull the trigger on the starter kit. I have a lot of cushion left over. Well, some cushion, I should say, for the Prestige. Currently, I'm at 484. One of the things that happens at the warehouse is you get a lot of miscellaneous points because last time I won the title for boards, or the last day, which was, let me see, 9 hours after the start of the round. And I won the title there, and that's 200 prestige. That's 1/3 of the 600, um, that I have to play around with. And I will not be able to survive another hit of that, obviously. I'm at 484, winning any titles, and I might actually win a wood title on top of things. So the question is when to pull the trigger on the starter kit. And there are two schools of thoughts, and I kind of break that out onto which scenario I'm playing in. If I'm doing something with PAX engines or passenger engines, there are a lot more research points that you have to accumulate in order to get the coupling, which is kind of important for most of the servers. It's less so in Steam over Europe, but that's another thing. But here in the U.S. Dream or American Dream, whatever they call this scenario nowadays, there's a lot of less research points to be accumulated during a round. So I'm less inclined to build up my lab to the highest level it could possibly be while under newbie status. Lab is obviously very important. The next lab for me will cost $2 million. I'm building up this last one. Let me click these right there, get that going. But the one I'm building right now costs $1,500,000, and the next one will cost $2 million. I think it will have the same research points. I'm going to actually let this finish building to verify that. I could just look on the wiki. I usually do for these types of decisions. But as you can see, if I got the starter kit right now, I would get an upgrade from my level 8 to a level 9, and I would get the 26 research points from having that filled up. And my lab will still be building, but it won't be building the level 9. It will be building the level 10 at that point. So I'm kind of already getting the money at this point. And if it's not going to mean any more research points, then there's really no advantage to waiting as opposed to upgrading another lab or to have it complete, have this building complete before I pull the trigger on the starter kit. The major question for me is how much income will I get from that 7th engine as compared to the 500k savings that I'm going to do for the next lab. Each lab increment is 500k more than the previous lab. So essentially I'm only saving 500k. I'm getting further along. That's very important. I don't want to de-emphasize that. But at a certain point, lab points aren't as critical once you reach level 9, essentially, on um, the USA server. And that might be influenced a lot by the fact that this is double speed, that capacity is double, and so um, on the double speed, you even need a lower lab. You can get away with a lower lab as far as progressing. Um, so then the question is, how much more money you have to make, or you have a limited time. I know I'm explaining this horribly, but I only have 28 hours left in my newbie status, and again, that's huge money. So instead of applying that money to the lab, why don't we apply that to other money making situations after you get to 600 prestige? And one of that is having extra money from a seventh engine. Another point is, what is that 26 um, prestige, or excuse me, your research points going to get you? The Rhino is the best hauling early engine in Era 1. And as you can see here, if I add 26 points to this, I'll get the critical wagon upgrade. So I'll have 3 wagons here. I currently have 4 wagons on the Raven, but as you can see, the acceleration and top speed is nothing compared to the Rhino. And with 26 points, I can get other stuff as well. So that's another decision on what to get after the wagons. The wagons is a must. I generally side with getting the highest research point, because that the game does a fairly good um, a, it does a fairly good job, excuse me, of balancing out the effect and the cost. And so I tend to say, okay, there's 7 research points that's required for getting 20 extra kph to my train, then that's going to be the better value, as opposed to the 6 points for acceleration or the 6 points with maintenance. Maintenance is a lower priority because I know of a trick, and I'll review that in another segment. But so I will get at least the wagons and a good ways towards one of the other 2 things, and that means extra money on top of my Raven fleet right now. Also, I have all that remaining time in the newbie status, and at that point I can start pumping up some of these other buildings depending on what my goals are for the round. If I'm going for a high position for my corp or for my personal account, then I will be looking at the restaurant and hotel. Restaurant is just a good money generator, and with a high enough restaurant, you can increase your income as much as your fleet of 7 rhinos at that point. So it can be very lucrative. And also, if you're in a large association with other people clicking on this when you are offline, it will continue to make money. For this example, I'm in an association by myself, so I don't have that advantage. It's a little less important for me, because that's going to be less revenue, because it's not going to be as productive as, say, other situations. The hotel is a solid choice if you are going for prestige. I typically do not. One of the things that is really nice about the US Dream scenario, or the America Dream, whatever they call it, is it has no borders. And the game style there tends to be more of, let the other people level the cities, and you just show up whenever you want to farm prestige or run comps or do whatever. So I tend to spread out as much as possible, and that means a lot of track production, and tracks get fairly expensive fairly quickly. And so I'm inclined with the American Dream scenario to pull the trigger as early as possible when I can get into the Rhino 3s is typically when I'll choose to do that. And start using the rest of the newbie status and the higher income I'm going to get that to really start cranking on the restaurant in particular, and then kind of have some money. I'm going to try and build that nonstop, and that will get problematic because with each level it takes longer, and I'm not touching the construction yard because it's kind of less important with the double speed servers. But I'll be also looking to expand my track production and get connected from this warehouse to either Little Rock, New Orleans, or Montgomery. And because I'm at the warehouse, I have every open good. So whenever we get these competitions, which are now every 3 hours in every city, because this is a double speed and they've made that adjustment. There are a lot of competitions to be had. There's a lot of prestige that can be had from that. But the problem is getting tracks. And I don't want to have to spread out all over Memphis and all over Little Rock and all over Montgomery, New Orleans, wherever I'm at, in order to participate in all of those competitions, because in this particular scenario you can't control it. It's completely random on whatever is open for that particular city. So having access to the warehouse already, I can just spoke out from here, get to those 3 other cities, and throw my trains at. Now, Era 1 trains, traveling these 6, 7 tracks to a city to run a comp, you're not going to win many, but participating in all the comps you can is going to be big prestige. So, again, when you pull the trigger on the starter kit is a very important decision. On the US scenario, I tend to do that earlier when I can get into the Rhino 3s. That's going to be a big increase on my income that I can use for the rest of the newbie status. For the classic Steam over Europe, Origins, anything with a passenger train, I might go for another lab and kind of wait until I'm really pushing that 600 prestige before I do the starter kit. So anyway, that's this segment. I hope it records, and I will see you for the next one. Take care, bro.